Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Empower Your Soul. I am here with our resident intuitive astrology expert and soul growth practitioner here, Jessica Rivera. Thank you so much for coming back here, Jessica.
Thank you so much for having me. I love being able to do this and share what I know with your, your people.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Because I just thought this last session, I got some wonderful feedback from some listeners about how wonderful it was to read the energy of the month. Let's just keep going with this and let's talk about October. And we're going to be riffing back and forth in terms of the astrology energy, what I was able to pick up from the Akashic records before we started recording today. And I'm just really, really excited to get into October. But before I get there, Jessica, how did eclipse season treat you?
Eclipse season definitely did impact me personally, but I have to say that I've been on this personal journey for a while. I've been doing a tremendous amount of work on myself. So the things that happened to come up for me were definitely something that to me felt kind of like a phoenix moment in my own personal journey, which was really satisfying. It didn't come without its own stresses and things like that and bumps in the road. But I definitely saw other people around me who maybe aren't so in tune with the energy or self-aware that really suffered, during this eclipse season. How about yourself? How'd you make out?
I would say it was really similar. It was interesting because I think that was part of the Aries energy, if I remember correctly. But there was just something about the first eclipse was fine, and then the second eclipse freaking ruined me. So there was this
Hmm.
point of transition between the two energies about halfway between because it was like a 2 week spurt, and it just decimated me. Couldn't sleep all week, like the kids and the husband couldn't sleep all week. So it was a very trying September, never mind starting back into the school routines on top of that too. So I'm glad it's done. I'm really glad it's done.
Yeah, absolutely. We get a break from eclipse season and things like that, but I do feel like it's so important to touch on it because that's where we're coming from. So as we move forward into the astrology of October, I'd be remiss if I didn't kind of talk about where we were in eclipse season because, we had those eclipses in Pisces and in Virgo.
That's right.
So depending on where that is specifically in your chart, which is different for everybody, is going to kind of highlight what sector of your life is being most highly impacted. But I know that Virgo, um, the Virgo eclipse was very tricky because Virgo rules the part of our life that has to do with our everyday, day-to-day routines and the inner workings of our day, our health, our work. So that really impacts us very personally. And Virgo is one of the very last signs that affect us. Let's see how I could say this alone. I'm not going to say, okay, so what I mean by that is when you look at the 12 signs, the
Yeah.
first six have to do with us and our own person. It is how we communicate. It is our uh, resources and our ethics and our morals and our resources. It is our home. It is what we do for enjoyment. It is our day-to-day routines. At the tail end of September and now where we are now, in October, we now start to go into the seventh sign, which is from 7 through 12 on the zodiac wheel, have to do with how we interact with the outside world. So now taking what we've learned or what we've experienced from eclipse season, we start to kind of, and the October astrology reflects this, which is why I wanted to preface now we kind of take the things that we've learned or that we've struggled with, and now it starts to interact with the world outside of us.
Oh, that's so interesting. There's so many things that are spinning in my head because I think the more that I learn about what's Greek to me astrology, the more I'm realizing it just reflects a lot of the other modalities that I've learned along the way. Because I didn't realize that the houses and the astrology signs had to do with all of these different reflections. And I'm not surprised at all that we're transitioning from the self, like the internal to the external at all. Because if you think about the last 6 months, or 7 months at this point, it's been a shit show, with internal transformations, transitions. Like my team has called it the great undoing. And so this is really interesting and actually perfectly in alignment with the messages that I got from the Akashic records for the month of October. So I'm so excited to talk about this.
Okay, so do you want to start? Because I would love to see how that is reflected by the astrology.
You got it. So, and so when I channeled the records, just maybe for the listener's sake, what I ended up doing was hopping into the records for the collective and just asking them, what does everyone want to know? Everyone that's listening to the podcast, what are the themes of the month? What are the lessons we're trying to overcome? What's the direction and guidance for everybody? And so they called this, it's so funny because they called this the Great Undoing before. My team has called it the Great Undoing 2025. And they've now said the month of October is the becoming.
Wow. Wow, that is so profound.
Yeah.
The
So we're
becoming.
shifting from this undoing to now becoming who you're meant to be. But there are two camps of people in this energetic space right now, because you have the people who they called this, for people who are resisting the transitions and resisting the new ways of beings. This is going to be a month of churn for them, and this is all going to be about continuing to find resistance, continuing to find blocks, continuing to find that nothing is working in your favor. And so if you're going through the month of October and you're just hitting block after block after block, there is something that you are not addressing, you are not shifting, you are not changing. You might be operating in the old ways of doing things for you, versus those that have done the work and those that are willing to actually use their voice and make the changes and actually like talk about the changes. And it was really interesting because it was this external view, like talk about things, help other people, bring it into the community. Those are going to be almost like catapulted out, and their trajectory is going to be vastly changed in a positive way. And so this is, to me, October in the records feels like two different directions of travel, whether you want to stay stagnant in the energy and still want to be, I'm going to say it, I'm sorry, everybody, victim mode, or if you want to own your transitions, your flaws, your failures, and say, okay, there's a different and better way. And I need to start engaging myself and my community differently. And I need to be better and do better. Then you're going to have a very different path. So that was essentially the downloads that I got from the records before we hopped on here today.
Oh my God. I literally have chills just listening to you talk about that, because that is all, first of all, I can't agree more about the victim versus the person who architects the life that they live.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just like we were talking about with eclipse season, did all of these things happen to you, or did it really start to open up opportunities for you to grow?
Yeah.
And things like that. So, and also when it comes to things such as manifesting, you have that major shift from things are happening to me. Look what they did. Look what that situation has brought to me, versus I'm going to make the best out of this. I'm going to grow. I'm going to do this, that, etc. So the astrology of this month is really focusing heavily on emotions and kind of past emotional imprints and patterns, increasing our self-awareness, kind of coming to this more emotional maturity in our relationships and our relationship to ourself. We have a full moon in Aries coming up this month, October 6th, October 7th, depending on your time zone and the time that it falls into. The focus really is to call your energy back to yourself. All of the energy that we give other people and other people's problems, and outsourcing all of the things that we want for ourselves. This is a great chance in the first week of the month to kind of call our energy back and make the most of the energy that's ripe for the Aries full moon. On the same day that this happens, Mercury, the planet of consciousness, the messenger, moves into the sign of Scorpio. And Scorpio has to do with vulnerability and our shadows. And so if you have been hitting a lot of snags, a lot of dead ends, really not being able to move in the direction you want to, this is a very, very divinely supported time to start working on your shadow work and to start exploring that route, to figure out what it is inside of you that maybe you need to realign your beliefs, because sometimes we can have limiting beliefs without even realizing it, just from our culture, just from our family, etc.
Wow. I love that. And it was interesting because when I went into the Akashic records, I got less of a week to week breakdown. I was like, okay, just give me a really quick synopsis of what the energy of the week is. And the first week, which by the way is my birthday week. Yes. I'm a
Happy
10/8
birthday!
10/8 baby. Thank you. Next week.
Nice.
Um, it was interesting. I love hearing you say that there's this reflection point within that and this communication point within there, because what the energy of the Akashic records felt like just really busy, like really, like the energy is just really busy. Your brain hurts. You can't think, you can't act. And I think if you are experiencing this in the first week of the month, this is the indicator that you have some more things that you're going to have to start clearing out. So this is a great way for you to like double check, like take a step back and do some journaling and really realizing, does this belong to me? Is this my responsibility? Or to your point, am I outsourcing my energy to people who don't need it, and or it's not the best use of my energy? So pay attention to the busyness, the first week of October, the 6th through I guess the 10th. And just take a look at that and assess honestly with yourself, is this the best use of your energy and time?
Yeah, absolutely. And before we even get to that full moon in Aries from October 1st to about October 4th, we are immediately hit with Mercury, the planet of consciousness, moving into Libra, which is all about balance and justice and, being very diplomatic. And it starts to square off with some of the other larger planets in the sky. And it kind of creates this tense square. It's creating a square, which tends to create that tension that you feel. Sometimes it's interacting with the asteroid Chiron. Chiron is known as the wounded healer, who is able to heal everybody else except himself. So that is definitely in the mix. The first couple of days, we may be kind of a little bit sore from where we were in September, and this wound within us becomes activated, and there may be a lot to reflect on, because I truly believe that our wounds and our triggers are portals to more self-realization.
Oh, I love that so much. And isn't that a perfect reflection of society as a whole right now, too? Because I think we're going to start having to use our voice to speak out against injustices and things that we know that are inherently out of alignment with our values individually and as a country. And we are up against these very large planets, right? These very large institutions and systems. So I love it. I love it.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Mhm.
and as a matter of fact, the other thing that the astrology for October is supporting is a collapse of systems and timelines that are not in alignment with the highest, greatest purpose for our ascension, for our evolution. So we're starting to see more and more people kind of become awake, become aware of the things that are at play.
It's the higher vibrations. It's the ascension to from 3D to 5D, right? And then like we are like, it's so interesting you say that, because when I really tapped in before, and I'm starting to get some really wild stuff in the Akashic records, and so everyone's going to start hearing these crazy things coming out, but like Gaia is sick of our shit. And Gaia is just like, I'm having a contract with the humans that now live here, and like you cannot keep functioning the way that you are. So this is even coming from the planet, as we can see with the Schumann resonance. So that
Mhm.
makes complete sense to me, because Gaia is like, stand up or get the fuck out. And like she's giving essentially humanity an ultimatum to do better.
And I think too, because we're in Libra season, it has a lot to do with relationships and the other. So I think that because we've just gone through this transformation and this undoing, now where we are heading, we are being redirected and our energy that we share with others, maybe the ones that aren't really alongside us for the ride start to fall away. It's interesting what's going to be happening to our relationships as we move forward. Some people may start to kind of fall out of our circle.
Oh, wow. I was just talking with some of my mentees about this right before this call. That is wild. That is why. And again, this is part of the great undoing and the becoming, because who you are becoming may not be in alignment with the version of yourself that you used to be. And especially as you call that energy back to you, you're going to be like, why did I give you that energy in the first place? This isn't a great place for my time. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
wild.
and it just is so rich this season with opportunities to explore the depths of who we are, the ignored parts of us that maybe have been shamed or that we don't really claim, and that goes hand in hand with the shadow work. And so as the sun is going to be moving into Scorpio later in the month, um, we are going to be fully supported in doing activities like that.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I no additional comment there. I'm glad things are going to be like transitioning through the month. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's definitely that tension when it comes to ourselves and maybe family members, the wounding that we have, people from our past, things like that, people from our childhood or wounds from our childhood or people from our past, etc. And then we go into that full moon in Aries, like we talked about, where we kind of step into our personal power and we just lovingly accept all of the past versions of ourselves that maybe didn't know better and didn't know what we were missing and kind of fully move into our power. And then shortly after that, the planet Pluto has been retrograde. It turns direct in the middle of the month, October 13th. So it's a powerful turning point. Again, like we've been talking about, there's kind of like two separate paths, that this is a really powerful time where we kind of start to move in a direction with new awareness of where we're going as souls, where we're going as humans on this planet.
Oh, that's so cool. And for that second week in October, I got this really interesting sense of like sneakiness, manipulativeness. So I don't know if that has anything to do with Pluto. It doesn't, I'm not sure, but there's just like watch your back in that second month, because I think people are going to start, as you choose the better path, as you choose, because I hope all my listeners will choose the better path, the growth path, right? You wouldn't be listening if you were going to be stagnant. But as we choose this more ascended path for us, I think the people who aren't choosing that are going to start getting pissed off and start getting judgmental and start getting loud and annoying. So this is all about staying your course in that second week of the month for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that really plays into this idea that there are collapsing timelines and collapsing structures that are antiquated and that no longer serve the greatest good. A lot of us, my guides have called this period that we've been going through the Great Disillusionment.
Ooh.
And so that has kind of had ties to the energy of Pisces, where Pisces has to do with, and Neptune too, to be fair, because we have a lot of Neptunian energy that's been going on throughout this year and specifically happening this month, where Neptune can have to do with disillusionment or facades. It makes me think of the Wizard of Oz, the great and powerful Oz, and everybody is so, enamored with the idea of the fact that we're outsourcing our power. Just go to him, he'll take care of it all. And then we realize the power was within ourselves all along, right?
Oh, I love that. What a great analogy. I'm obsessed with that. That'll be the hill I die on, for real. Is just like, you don't need anything else. You have been gifted your soul to be exactly who you're meant to be in this lifetime, and you just have to realize it. So I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
And again, what a great, I mean, that's like the best mantra, I feel like, for that full moon in Aries that we're going to experience. The power
Mhm.
is within you, and it has been all along. It's just
Mhm.
that society and cultures have been telling you for the longest time that you have to go to other people in order to seek it. And, to make a really clear difference between outsourcing your power and seeking people who are on your journey meant to help you. You know, there are people who are guides that you can reach out to who have traveled this path before, that know the way. And those are the people that, if you're not really sure how to go about this, but you've been wanting to start on this journey, this is a great invitation. You know, it's different than just, well, society says I need to do A, B, and C, so therefore I will. You know, it's a major, major point that I wanted to point out.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, because if you want somebody else to lead you and handhold you and do the work for you, you're not going to transform. You're taking away your soul lessons. So I completely agree.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So let's see. I'm looking at all my notes. You should see how crazy my notes become. I had so much to talk about, but I also didn't want to overwhelm any of your viewers because listen, the truth is that it is really like another language. You know, like I say, the astro curious, the people who are like, all right, tell me what's going on. I don't want to get too nuancy, but I think so far we're doing okay with just
Yeah.
kind of touching on the main points and talking about the general vibe for the month. And I couldn't agree more with what you were saying before about how the two experiences, depending on the person, is going to be really, really clear this month. Um, so let's see. Let's see what else we have here. So, yeah, let's see.
What's the third week of October look like?
The third week. Okay. So, what does the third week start off
So
at?
that would be the 20th, October 20th.
Okay, so in the third week, we are greeted by the new moon in Libra. So concepts of justice and righteousness and diplomacy, beauty, because Libra is ruled by Venus, the goddess of beauty and love. So this makes a really great time for beauty and pampering yourself and loving yourself. Maybe doing some form of activity that you can express yourself through poetry or through some sort of visual art or something like that. It's also a really great time to manifest because with the new moons, we have a black moon. We have this time to kind of plant the seed. And then by the time it comes back around to the full moon, you know, hopefully sometimes we see some progress there in our intentions that we've planted.
Oh, that's so great. I love that. And for the third week, I also got just have fun, celebrate. I was like, really? Because Halloween is the following week. And they're like, nope, that's the energy that week is just keep your vibrations high. Because even if you're not specifically manifesting things, by keeping your vibration and your energy high around a new moon is an excellent way to just say, I want more of this. And that is definitely, I can't remember the name of the universal law, but where we are now, it's the law of cause and effect. What you experience today reflects what the future is going to look like. So even if in any current moment you say, I want to change, I want a positive, amazing experience, if you start acting that way around a new moon, you're going to manifest that for the future automatically.
Oh, I love that. You just described aligned action too. I
Yep.
mean, it's great to make a vision board, but if you continue to go around looking at the ground, you're never going to look up and see all the blessings in front of you. So being able to take that aligned action, like you just described, is the best way to bring all of the things you want to invite into your life.
Mhm. I love that. I love that. Anything else going on that third week, or should we scoot to the fourth week?
Yeah, there's actually a couple other things happening. So after the new moon, Neptune, which has been moving in retrograde, I mentioned Neptune has to do with disillusionment. It also has to do with spirituality and things like this. It had moved from Pisces into Aries earlier in the year. It then re-enters on this 22nd into Pisces. Pisces is a heavier water energy. As a matter of fact, a lot of my dear friends with Pisces, with their sun in Pisces, they kind of tend to carry around this heavy emotional burden that I have to remind them, not all of that burden is yours. You don't have to suffer. It's okay. They get so overwhelmed. And as a collective, this is one of the phases we're going through in ending and moving past everything that we've experienced so that we can kind of move forward. So Neptune in retrograde will be back in Pisces until about January. So it is going to kind of bring a feel of a little bit of heaviness, a little bit of sluggishness, because again, this is the universe's divine timing in going back through the things that are heavy and thick and that don't really work anymore for everybody to kind of see and recognize and become awake and become aware and acknowledge, yeah, maybe that doesn't really feel right to me anymore, or maybe I need to shift my way of thinking, etc.
Oh, okay. That's so I love that. I love that so much. I mean, I'm not looking forward to that heavy energy, but spot on. I never thought about, I know a few Pisces. I was like, that is definitely true.
My dear
Heavy.
Pisces, and I love my Pisces
Yep.
so much. That I love them. I love them. I love them so, so much.
It's not as bad as you think it is.
Yeah, and you know what? To be fair, that energy that we've been waiting through for a long time, especially last year, there was a lot of heavy Piscean energy.
Mhm.
Um, and so Pisces, because it's the end of the zodiac wheel, it really has to do with endings. So all of the major planets by the end of October are pretty much in water signs.
Wow.
So yeah, between placements in Scorpio, placements in Cancer, and then placements in Pisces. We have Saturn and Neptune at the end of the month that are in Pisces, and Jupiter has been in Cancer and will remain there for a bit. We have Mercury, Mars, the Sun in Scorpio at the end of the month. So, what that all means is that there's going to be this formation cosmically that we call a trine in astrology.
Mhm.
So a water grand trine is going to occur. And, you know,
This doesn't feel good.
you can't look at it in binary, means, Nicole.
I don't like emotions, just to be clear.
I know you're an air sign and so am I. I had said in therapy, is it not enough to talk about my feelings? Do I have to
Yeah.
actually feel them
Feel
too?
them.
Come on. Well, I hope all of the water sign listeners are getting a chuckle, and probably all the air sign listeners too. Like, yeah, feelings,
Shit.
icky.
Oh
Um,
shit. The grand water. What did you say? It was the grand water
it's a
trine.
grand water trine, yeah,
That's
that happens toward the end of the month,
sounds traumatic. I'll
and
start working on that now. Yep.
I know that you've done you're very familiar with elemental forces
Mhm.
and things like this. And, as nice as each element has, it can also have a destructive force.
Yes.
And so I have total trust in the universe that this is going to be a flushing, a purging, right? Like if you've ever, for example, this is a maybe obscure, but I think it'll make my point. If you've ever had an injury, right? You end up in the ER and you're like, I think I have glass in my cut. What do? They have to flush it out. They have to purge. They have to cleanse. Water is a deep cleanser.
Mhm.
So I think that by the end of the month, we're going to start to experience this in the collective where, it could perhaps be destructive if you think of the force of what floods could do to a community. Um, and it can also feel really heavy in emotion as well, but these times don't last. They all serve a purpose. So it could be heavy and sluggish, but we just have to remember what we learned from the eclipses, which is to surrender to what we can't see and to surrender to the forces outside of ourselves and maintain our boundaries, just like you said, Nicole. Maintain your energy, and on the hard days, just live moment to moment. Drink
Yes.
lots of water, breathe through it. It'll be over soon. Just do your absolute best every day.
Oh, okay. That makes so much sense because I was definitely picking up closer to the end of the month. I felt a closing. It almost felt like a closing of a book and like getting ready for the end of the year, which felt like a big conglomerate, like big clogged up mess for me energetically. I didn't actually like go into the energy of it to figure out why it felt that way, but that makes sense because all of those water, all of the water energy kind of coming in, the emotional heavy energy coming in the last 2 months of the year. That makes complete sense to me. And I want to second your surrendering, but also at the same time, it's I think there's a difference between surrendering, which is just going with the flow and just, living moment to moment, which I think there's beauty in. But I also want to reflect that it's also okay to just trust. It's also okay to like take a step back and say, I trust that what is going on with me, with the collective, is for the highest and best good of humanity and the future of me and the high. So I want to say surrender, but maintain that positive vibration. Don't surrender and go into a deep, dark depression. Like surrender and see what you can do to help others. See what you need help and asking others to help you as well, because we are all in this watery, soupy mess all together. And so we're only going to make it through. And the Akashic records and my team are reminding me that was the theme of the year. The theme of the year was community, not going it alone. And so I just want to reflect that back in terms of the surrendering, like everybody else is doing it too. So make sure you're using your voice and talking about it.
Oh, that is so beautiful. And shedding the layers that don't serve us anymore. It's
Mhm.
okay to go through the pain, reflect, and say, this person has hurt me repeatedly. So now what am I going to do? I'm going to put a boundary in place.
Mhm.
I absolutely believe so strongly in the power of a good um, therapist and things to help work through these things, because they devote their entire lives to these studies and to helping people. So when we feel stuck ourselves and are sick of that pain, then there are people out there, even outside of the spiritual circles, that can help you move out of that space.
Mhm.
And for those who are called to find those spiritual practitioners, we're here as well to help guide you through the darkness, because we have experienced the darkness ourselves.
I love that. I love that. And shout out to you and your amazing service offerings too, because Jess can help you go through this month with your specific astrology. So
Oh
make
my
sure you're
God,
doing that as
yes.
well.
And you know what? I really feel like if I get the opportunity to teach people how to work with the astrology that we are experiencing, it is one of the most empowering ways to move through whatever comes your way, because you are empowered, you have your direction, you have the things that you're working on. The healers don't heal, they just guide, right? And so
Mhm.
that is, and we hold the space and capacity for that to happen for you. So that's one of the greatest joys that I get. So,
Oh, I love it. I love it. So is there anything else big that's happening in the month that we need to talk about? Kind of curious.
let's see. I really think that I covered a lot, although I know that we did move kind of fast, but just
Mhm.
focusing on, all of these signs in water. There's going to be, water is a very receptive element. It
Mhm.
receives, it doesn't necessarily forge forward. It's symbolized by a downward triangle because it's just lower key. So things are going in the future to kind of hype up again into, all the Pisces placements. They're going to move into Aries. Aries is like, we experience some of it, the fire, the go-getter, the trailblazer, the pioneer. So we're going to be moving into that. So just catch your breath here, do your best, and there's going to be time for everything.
Oh, I love that. And then I can close up with what the other half of the channel. So I think it's just reiterating what I already said, but I'll say it a slightly different in terms of the summary of the month from the records. The big message is, have you integrated your lessons or not? And the question is, have you decided to change who you are and who you are becoming, or are you reverting back from an ego perspective, from a subconscious perspective, from a nervous system perspective, the familiar patterns of the past, which don't serve you? Because if you have decided to stick with the familiar patterns of the past, you are literally signaling to the universe that you are not open for change. They are not going to keep sending change your way if you take the change and shove it down the toilet, right? Like they are not going to keep sending you downloads and information and the right people that are perfectly aligned for you if you continuously ignore them or decide to go down again a more comfortable path that is not as aligned for you. So they're not going to give you a signier sign. Like the universe is just going to at some point just stop sending you shit because you're not receiving it and saving their own energy and effort, just like how we've been talking about in October. So my challenge for everybody is to really start thinking about integrating these lessons. And when I say integrating these lessons, that seems like a pie in the sky thing. It's not. It just means every single step, every single choice, every single opportunity, just reflecting back, is this the right decision for me? Is this the right thing to do? Or is there a different and better way that I can live my life that feels more enjoyable, more in alignment, higher vibe than I have been before, because at any moment we can wake up and choose to be different. But a lot of us are so afraid to be different because the universe likes the same, or sorry, the collective likes the same. We like to resist change. So if you start owning who you are and the path that you're becoming, you are going to see how powerful and how amazing you are.
Amen, Nicole. Yes, girl. Yes.
I am going to have to kick my own ass this entire month to remember that message.
And you know what?
Hard.
Sometimes we're on that journey of self discovery, and birth chart readings are a wonderful way to really delve into the signature energy that is uniquely yours. And what path should I be on? That is something that is very clear in a birth chart. So if there's any way that I can help any of you kind of be able to hone in on that, it would be my absolute honor to help.
Oh, amazing. So I'll add all of Jessica's information into the show notes. Again, give her a follow on the socials if you haven't already. She's freaking amazing. And if you all like this, I'd love to hear more. Send me some emails. Let me know if this resonated with you and how the month goes for you as well, because we can read some kind of user listener questions or reactions next month, which would be really fun. If you're welcome to come back, Jess, and I'd love to have you back for November to help us wade through this giant tsunami that's about to come our way.
I will be here and I couldn't be happier to help. Thank you so much for having me. This is always so much fun.
Oh, thank you so much for being here, Jess. Appreciate it. And for the rest of you, may the odds be ever in your favor for October. Till next time, have a great day.